And they say once you start caravanning, you will really, it's very addictive. And you keep traveling and it becomes like an addiction and you always want to go out, buy a new caravan and things like that. So what were your key challenges like when you had so much people coming in
Just a lot of challenges. When you got that many people there, there's just so many dynamics happening for making sure you don't.
yeah, so you said how many spots that you had for caravans?
I can't remember. Well, over 300 sites. Yeah, it was nearly 12 acres all up. Yeah.
So 12 acres with 300 sites on an average. Wow. Okay. Now, while you were doing a caravan park, give us one moment where, oh my God, an oh my God moment.
Quite a few of them. How long have you got, Nitin?
Give me a couple of oh my God moments where you say, Jesus, what is this? What's happening here?
Gee, if I think back, coming to the office with their blood pouring out of the inside of their arm every heartbeat, and I've had to deal with that and do first aid, where we've nearly burnt to the ground a couple of times and been out there fighting fires. I've had dead bodies wash up on the beach.
Why is that caravan parks usually on right on the beach?
Oh, yeah, it's like real estate, isn't it? We're position.
So when in operation like this, you don't have to disclose the numbers or anything, but what kind of let's say if there's like 5,000 people, what are we talking? We talking like sales wise, like $1 million, couple of $1 million, or $5 million, or what are you talking here?
Next question.
Hey guys, welcome to Studio 9. My name is Nitin Menon. In today's episode, we have someone very special who has worked from the age of 10 alongside with his mother, running one of a very successful caravan business right in Victoria. We're going to talk the ins and outs about how they managed it and their day-to-day operations and what it is like to be the owner of a caravan park. Let me welcome Fons Moon. Fons, welcome to the studio.
Thanks, Nitin. Appreciate it. That was a nice intro, but it was in New South Wales.
Oh, is it? Oh, well, there you go. Well, let me correct that. That's New South Wales.
In Ulladulla, a sweet little coastal town, just 3 hours south of Sydney.
Yeah, wow, okay. So Fons, tell, I know we had a bit of a chat off camera before, and you mentioned that you actually went in as part of the family business and you started working with your mother alongside it. Just tell us your story. What exactly, how did you got into working with your mother?
Yeah, so Mum and Dad originally brought the first section of the caravan park the year I was born, back in 1975. And then they slowly grew it up and brought some of the properties that adjoined next door. And but just after I left school at 16, but I'd already been working in the family business prior to that, before and after school and on weekends. And then about in my very early 20s, 2021, Mum and Dad got divorced. So I sort of stepped into the role of helping run the park, and not only that, able to grow it with Mum into quite a large resort, one of the most popular in Ulladulla.
So how, as a child, like normal kids have their usual life and everything, and so what was your journey as a kid growing up? What did you used to see and everything?
As a young child, growing up in a caravan park is fun and exciting. Yeah. I had my own huge playground area and sandpit. I had some Tonka trucks and Matchbox cars. I'd go out and play all the time. Most kids don't have access, especially back in those days, to that level of facilities, like a childcare centre in my own backyard, basically. And then later on, a swimming pool and things like that. So it was really exciting. I suppose Fridays were the highlight because that's when all the kids come down from Sydney and Canberra and stayed the weekend, and then Sunday night they'd all go back home and I'd be left Monday to Friday playing on my own. So it was always sad to have to say goodbye to new friends a lot, but no, it was great. Yeah.
Oh, that's That's really actually good because you were so social when people come in. You see so many people come and go and all the time, you know. So
Yeah, I'm still on friends with on Facebook with some of those kids from way back when I was like 8, 9, and 10 sort of thing. Yeah. And then as time went on, I think when I was around maybe 13 or 14, we ended up buying a 12-unit motel that was right next door to us. And some of my earliest memories are there was like Dad taking me to work with him 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and we done the brekkies, the bacon and eggs and the toast and all that, and ran the trays down to the rooms and collected them. And I ever made the school bus out the front at 8:30, or I didn't, and he'd run me to school around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, stripping beds, bringing linen up to the laundry. It's whatever needed to be done.
So when you said on a good peak period in your caravan park, how many people would have been in your caravan park?
Oh, look, well, Ulladulla's very seasonal. Christmas, summer was your peak time, and in the height of the resort, we'd easily have somewhere between 3,000 to 5,000 people in our backyard, basically from Christmas Day to after New Year's.
So you're saying you had 3,000 to 5,000 people in your caravan park?
Yeah, adults and children. Yeah, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week that you were kind of responsible for.
So how many? So when you say that kind of volume of people, how many caravan like space you actually had?
Yeah, so we had around 165 holiday van sites where people own their own cabin or van with an aluminium annex and had it there on site all year round, and they drove down from Canberra or Sydney or Wollongong to stay in it and go as they liked. Then we had, I think, around 60-something units of accommodation of all different sizes and types, and maybe another 80 odds powered and unpowered sites.
So something like this, when you run, what is the biggest challenge because you were promoted as a caravan park manager at the age of 16?
Around 18.
16 to 18. Yeah. So what were your key challenges like when you had so much people coming in? Like, is it the staff that's the issue, or controlling these people were the issue, or what was the challenges like?
Just a lot of challenges. When you got that many people there, there's just so many dynamics happening, for making sure you don't run out of diesel for the hot water system, run out of your stocks of toilet paper in 3 different amenities blocks, keeping everything clean and tidy. But we pretty much always had a good crew of staff that was supportive, especially in the earlier days. Culture only really changed probably from 2000 onward, when OH&S come in and GST, with staff that become more, instead of working as a team, it was the government sort of started to come between us, and it ended up more, we're at war with your employees. Okay. So that's difficulties come about. I think it's still like that to this day.
So now you are in Queensland. Do you think is it easier to operate here, or is it New South Wales was easier when it comes to regulations, owning a caravan park? And
yeah, I know. I've only been in Queensland for a year, so my experience has been that Queensland's probably slightly easier. It's hard to say whether it's a New South Wales Queensland thing or whether it's more a council issue. Our council down there had 13 parks of their own, so they were our number one competition and also our boss, and allowed us to expand and grow, or stopped us when we put in DA. So that was definitely an unfair advantage that they had that we didn't. Yeah. They didn't have, trying to play the same game.
Yeah. So when compared to councils, caravan parks and things like that, where do you stand with number of that car park? What do you call them? Like, is it like a caravan park?
Our park was the biggest in the area. Yeah, and we had the best location right on the beach.
Yeah. So you said how many spots that you had for caravans?
Oh, I can't remember. Over 300 sites. It was nearly 12 acres all up. Yeah.
So 12 acres with 300 sites on an average. Wow. Okay. So what in stuff like that? So give us a couple of like to people who've never been to a caravan park, like what are the things they should remember, like or things they should be mindful of when they're going to a caravan park. Like there's a lot of probably audience who will be watching this podcast. They probably have never been to caravan. Like I've probably been to caravan park once, with one of my friend for a half a day. So I've never been technically there. So when you go to a caravan park, you really need a caravan. You just can't go and camp it, or you can camp.
Well, yeah, there's probably two parts to that answer. It depends on what you are as a customer, whether you're turning up with your own caravan motorhome or whether you're going to rent something off us. Like we had caravans for rent, we had cabins for rent, we had 4.5-star spa villas with ocean views that were like big luxury homes with everything in them and all the facilities and well appointed.
So you had all that in that caravan park?
Yeah.
So
we could accommodate anyone that wanted to stay, no matter what their budget was and what they were looking for.
So what is the cheapest, the most reasonable that anyone want to camp in a campsite? What would you say?
It has to be an unpowered site. All they're renting then's a patch of grass.
So what are you talking, like $30?
Well, these days, yeah.
Yeah. So did you see a lot of shift in pricing when it comes to caravan park sites?
No, not really. Not over even the last 40 years. There hasn't been a lot of increase in site fees. What you could charge for a campsite. Yeah. We're probably getting maybe $15, $20 a night back in 1975, and still in off-peak low season, you're still charging maybe about $30 to $40 a night for that same site. Nearly 40 years later.
Is it really hard for someone to open up a caravan park? Like if someone has a bit of a cash lying around and a big acreage of land, is it really easy or is it very hard, especially regulation-wise, to do a caravan park?
Yeah, huge amount of regulations.
For the caravan?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. You have to have a huge amount of capital behind you to kick it off. Yeah. Yeah. Though these days, with hip camps, there's more of an opportunity if you're in a rural environment. So if you were to start, my first answer I gave you is probably more related to if you were starting a caravan park in town on residential sort of or caravan park zone land. But if you're on rural area like our new campground, it's more doable, and it's a good, say, sidelined income for agricultural farmers to have a few campers in each night or throughout the week at their choice and just pick up a few extra dollars without having to outlay a few $1 million in infrastructure to get up and running.
So you're saying you technically kind of, if you want to do a full-fledged caravan park, there's a huge amount of capital is required, like a couple of $1 million to get going.
Oh, easy. Yeah, you might pay that just for the land.
Yeah, and then the outgoings, and then the cost of council and all that bit. Yeah, so heap camp is kind of a cheaper version. If someone has a big block of land, they want to get into some kind of business who understands this market.
It has to be rural zoning.
Yeah, and it has to be rural zoning in Queensland.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Who are the key players in this business in Australia? Like, do you know? Like,
yeah, back in the day, my parents got into it. It was like them. It was just married couples, families. It might be, say, 2 adult brothers, 2 adult sisters or siblings that go in as a partnership to run a caravan park or a motel. But probably as caravan parks have got over-regulated, you need to have so many more skill sets now and qualifications in so many different broad knowledges of areas of knowledge that mum and dad operations can't do it anymore. They just don't have the skill set. It's just so complicated. So you now see big corporations really have brought out nearly all the caravan parks in Australia by now. Yeah. There's not many family-owned parks still operating, unfortunately.
So they're pretty much taking over pretty much everything nowadays, whether it be supermarkets or whether it be... So it's pretty much the big boys are coming in.
Yeah, they just got hundreds of millions of dollars of silent investors behind them and just buying up based on return on investment. What each site will return is all they care about.
Yeah. So it is a good business to run when you look at it. That's why the big corporates are getting in, because there is some serious money to be made into this business.
Yeah, especially with the ageing population in Australia. Since they got their hand on the statistics that we're getting more and more, say, over 55s. You can even see here in Hervey Bay, like I'd imagine 10 years ago, there was a lot more tourist-orientated caravan parks in Hervey Bay that have now been bulldozed and redeveloped as over 55 lifestyle resorts, and run by these big companies, and they're just going, all right, we'll whack a unit on there, put a person in there, and we get a fixed amount of income per site per year. Yeah. They're not interested in tourists that they don't know exactly how much they're going to get per site per year.
So when you mentioned demographic, like, so what kind of age group usually that you see in campsites? Is it over 50s or
in a tourist park? Yeah, it's mainly like what we call the grey nomads, either semi or fully retirees that have got their caravan and their four-wheel drive and doing their trip around Australia, or these days they're doing their second and third trips, or so. And then since COVID though, we've seen a lot more families, mum and dad, couple of young kids, the dog, travelling around and just going, well, I'm not going to put up paying mortgage and rent anymore. We're just going to live a bit easier and stress-free life.
And I think that's what's been happening. I think nowadays, I think everybody is understanding. We did a podcast with the doctor, and the same we had these questions we were going on, like why a lot of people are not working. The younger generation are not choosing to work as hard as back in the days, because nowadays a lot of people are realizing that there's more to life and balance than spending all their money in a house or things, and they just want to travel more.
Yeah, or they've experienced where they've worked their ass off, got ahead, and either lost it through divorce or lost it through other X factors that come along in life, and they're back at square one and think, well, why do it all again? I'll live differently.
Exactly right. Now, while you were doing a caravan park, give us one moment where, oh my god, an oh my god moment.
Quite a few of them. How long have you got, Nitin?
Give me a couple of oh my god moments where you say, Jesus, what is this? What's happening here?
Gee, if I think back through the memory bank, I remember one Christmas, a little kid about 6 or 7, just a skinny little boy jumping off the top of our water slide, thinking he was jumping into the pool like some other kids had done. But he went the wrong way and landed on the concrete slab, ended up in an ambulance and rushed to Sydney. His parents were asleep back in their caravan. He'd be an adult now. He lived. He was lucky. I've seen other people punch through glass sliding windows and come into the office with their blood pouring out of the inside of their arm every heartbeat, and I've had to deal with that and do first aid. All sorts of crazy stuff when you've got a couple of thousand people in your backyard.
What was that? Well, I think it's like running a resort or a hotel.
I've dealt with bushfires where we've nearly burnt to the ground a couple of times and been out there fighting fires. Actually, the last big bushfires we had down there, we had a small light plane do an emergency landing on the sand on the beach at the back of our park. So while all hell was breaking loose and we're ran around putting out fires, here comes this plane out of the sky, lands on the beach. I've had dead bodies wash up on the beach. Yeah, you'd blow you away some of the things you experience running a caravan park.
So how close were you to the beach? Like you were like real close, right on the beach, pretty much. Yeah. Why is that caravan parks usually on right on the beach?
Oh, yeah, it's like real estate, isn't it? Where position. Yeah, people want a holiday either on the beach or on a lake or a dam or a river. Somewhere near the water is the most common place people choose to be. It's just relaxing, big open space. And the beach we were on was a beautiful beach, good surf beach, good for beach fishing, rock fishing, surfing, swimming. Yeah.
So having close to the beach means, can you push your prices up?
Yeah, certainly, just like in real estate, yeah. Yeah, if you're in the middle of the Simpson Desert, you can't charge so much, but when you're 3 hours from Sydney and 2.5 hours from Canberra, you can charge a lot more. And you've got ocean views from the patio or your caravan or from your cabin, yeah.
Did you always have like challenges with finding staff running caravan parks, or where it was easy with backpackers or local?
Well, I thought it was challenging back then, but I'd hate to be doing it today. It'd be a lot harder to find staff today, I'm sure, than back then.
I think after COVID, even with hospitality, because my background is hospitality, and we've seen that after COVID, the actual backpacker market who works into this kind of segments, I think it's pretty much dried up, so you don't get to see, like back in the days, all those backpackers coming and helping in farms or caravan parks or hotels, doing housekeeping stuff. I think you just don't see them anymore, like there's very less and less people.
Yeah, possibly don't have the money, and the visas are a lot harder to get these days for working visas.
Do you think that, I don't know, were you there when the COVID happened at the caravan?
No, well, yes and no. We'd actually, by that stage, had just a couple of years earlier, had sold physically half of our business, but it was like our tourist section. If we had have been there through COVID, that would have been one massive challenge, and financially a challenge also. Like, you got to get that Christmas money in any business in New South Wales on the coast that's so seasonal like ours. You've got to get that Christmas money every year to survive winter. To miss that income you would have had to really, really tighten the belt to get through. So fortunately for us, we'd gotten out of that part of our business. We still had half of it, but it was a fixed income type business where people paid us each year for their site, whether they were there or not. So we did give them a discount over that time because they had no choice. They couldn't come down from Sydney or Canberra and use their weekender. So we did reduce their fees for that 12 months, and they appreciated that, and they were happy to continue to pay, and it all worked out in the end.
Yeah, so it's kind of because you had different sections for the caravan, like you had caravan parks, then you had
we had
cabin accommodations.
Yeah, we had cabin accommodation, and then we had like powered and unpowered sites, and then we had holiday van sites.
So was it all part of the planning process when your mum decided to do all this, or?
Yeah, no, not from probably halfway through we got that, but from the start. I think we brought 4 different properties over the time we were there that were all adjoining us. They're all we started with about, I think, 4 acres or something now, and then brought over 2.5 acre lots to the right hand side to the south of us, and ended up putting together almost 12 acres. So each time we brought, that was another, there was a set of flats, there was a 12-unit motel, there was another caravan park. So then in the end we had to like rearrange, close offices, close entrance and exits, and rearrange the whole flow of the thing, and move caravans around to try and get all the accommodation at one end and all the holiday vans at the other end. Yeah, so it was a bit of mucking around, but we got there, yeah.
So I think even just talking to you, I just feel it's such a big, amazing operation.
It was a very big operation, a lot in it, yeah.
So, and you learned all this while working with your mother, with your parents, and then just understanding how it all runs.
Yeah, Mum gave me a Harvard degree in business, and from 5 years of age.
Yeah, I think the best education is on ground. We always say books can teach you. The books can teach you the ways you can do things, but I think it's when you do practical and when you on the ground is when you become like street smart, we call them, and you understand the actual nature of business.
Well, it's having the knowledge and then being taught to push on and keep going when others stop too. And no, just to keep going and it'll all work out in the end. But you've got to put the hours in and the effort in and just keep going, no matter how hard it got.
So because it was open 24 hours, pretty much you guys were always open.
Yeah, well, there's not too many businesses out there. You have a restaurant or a shop in town or anything else, like you close the door at say 5 o'clock or whatever and lock it up. There's no customers inside your business overnight. But in a caravan park, you've got them there all the time. You don't get to sort of lock the front door and have any time to yourself, sort of thing. They're always there.
Yeah. So when in operation like this, you don't have to disclose the numbers or anything, but what kind of like, let's say if there's like 5,000 people, what are we talking? We talking like sales wise, like $1 million, couple of $1 million, or $5 million, or what are you talking here? Like,
yeah, a lot of my friends are going to be watching this podcast, Nitton, so I think I'll sit on that. I'm sorry. Next question.
Is there what kind of margins we talking here? Like, is it 20%? Like in a hotel, when you run a hotel business, we say 20% gross or net income on you done pretty well, So what kind of margins we talking here? Like when you
Yeah, well, 20%, say, net margin today would be a pretty average benchmark figure. But you haven't met my mum. We used to run a lot higher margin than that because she would run a tight ship, watch every cent, not just every dollar, but every cent. So we run much better margins than that, more than double. Yeah. And when you're talking margins in the hospitality industry too, it's not like you've got a product that you buy, put a percentage on it and resell it. So the margins change with your seasons throughout the year.
So what do you suggest? Like, what is a kind of season that you had in New South Wales? What are the peaks and troughs that you had? Like, Christmas was the busiest?
Yeah, summer was your busiest time of the year, right through to from sort of school broke up in December, right through to Australia Day long weekend. And then it stayed busy every weekend. You'd be pretty much full right through till after Easter, and Easter was a good season. And then after Easter, you're then heading towards May and winter, so it'll just be dead pretty much from then right through till September school holidays. And then it would pick up again. So September school holidays, October long weekend was always full and good. You'd be full every weekend again. Then right through from that term 4 of school till Christmas again.
So how do you manage like the cash flow, things like that? Like on an off-peak period, usually you do like all the maintenance, park repairs and things like that, and then on a get ready for the season, pretty much. Yeah. Is that, yeah. What's the biggest expense when it comes to running a caravan park?
Oh, it's wages for sure.
So wages. Big chunk.
Yeah.
Because it's a staff.
And then if you've got a mortgage, that would be mortgage and interest would be your second biggest expense.
Yeah. So running a day-to-day park is not a big expense. When you look at it, apart from if you take the labor and if it's fully cashed up, like the park maintenance, the sewerage,
that'd really depend on what facilities you've got. Especially if you start putting in swimming pools, that's a very big expense because it's very labour intensive as well as costly to run in electricity and with water and chemicals and all that. So it really, it depends how many facilities and what they are that you're running. It will affect your costs.
So if I have to go to a caravan park, what should I look into? Like, what kind of facilities that I should look into? To knowing that, this is a really nice caravan park. Like, so let's say I have a caravan, I'm going for a holiday at the moment. What should I look and what places that I should look for? Like, is there an app or is there a website that I should go?
Well, Wiki Camps is probably the number one app, in my opinion, to look at for every traveller that's travelling away from home and looking for a caravan park or a hip camp or a free stay on the side of the road. Should definitely have Wiki Camps.
Yeah. And like the camps with kids area or camps usually have like...
Yeah, well, that's really all up to the individual. If you're travelling with kids, you might want somewhere with a pool, definitely with laundry facilities, a playground, jumping pillows, putt golf, all those sort of things.
So you can have all that actually in a caravan park?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay. What is one of the best caravan parks in Australia? Do you know, like, or?
Well, used to be like, say, Cairns Coconut Resort, North Star Holiday Resort down at, was it Hastings Point, I think, just south of the Tweed, right at the top of New South Wales. East Beach Holiday Park at Kiama. They're probably the three that come to mind at the moment, yeah.
Do you get, like, when you were running the caravan park and everything, like, is it more international or locals?
Depends on where you are in Australia, what you're going to get. Most of ours was locals. Some other parks that I've worked at that are more in like big hotspots, you get more the tourists that are flying in for. They might have a couple of weeks and they want to see Ayers Rock, they want to see Cairns, they want to see the Sydney Harbour Bridge. So if you're near any of those big hotspots, you'll get more international people travelling through. Yeah.
I think even here, I think in Harvey Bay, I think we've seen a fair bit of like locals. So I think a lot of interstate people coming and exploring it. I think internationals usually they go more to the cities and everything, unless you're a backpacker who really want to travel.
Yeah, you get a lot travel the coastline of Queensland though. We get a lot out at Mooney's Camp. That are in their juicy campers or their little hired rental vans or whatever motorhomes, and yeah, we get a lot of them come and stay because Harvey Bay's a pretty of a they come to see the whales and it's just such a beautiful town. There's a lot here to attract the tourists, which is good.
I know that the weather really plays a big role when it comes to camper sites and everything, like especially a wet weather season can really affect the business. Unseasonal weathers can significantly affect.
Yeah, yes and no. So I've also got a half share in a Cougar Charters, a fishing charter business here in Harvey Bay. The weather really affects that. If it's windy or raining, no one wants to go out fishing. But if you're travelling around a state, doing a road trip, on some sort of journey, you've just got to know when you leave home there's going to be some bad weather and there's going to be some good weather. So in that respect, the weather doesn't really affect that type of traveller. If you're just going somewhere for the weekend, you can choose. If the weather looks bad on Friday night, you can just choose to stay at home and go another weekend. But if you're already out there travelling, you just need somewhere to stay no matter what the weather's doing. Yeah.
So if someone's if you're watching this and you've never done a caravan park, it's pretty much like me. I've never been to a caravan park apart from half a day. I think there's a lot of insights in this podcast where you can take. Fons is going to leave also hip camp details about his business today. Fons, do you want to tell the audience that you have a hip camp right in Ballaghan? Is that correct?
Yeah, here in Harvey Bay, called Mooney's Camp.
It's called Mooney's Camp. Do you want to do a bit of a? So what is it? So
it's only been open about 8 weeks now, a couple of months, and it's going well. So it's an off-grid property, so we have a large solar system. So we've only got 4 powered sites, and we've got pretty much unlimited amount of unpowered sites, and we're just currently charging $30 a night for 2 people for anyone that wants to turn up. So power, we've got an awesome camp kitchen, we've got ladies and gents toilets and showers. We've got an RV dump point for cassette toilets and a good playground, sandpit, trampoline for the kids. You can bring your dog, you can have a fire, plenty of firewood out there. It's a nice, quiet, safe place to stay.
I've been to the site. I've been to Mooney's camp before, and we had an amazing event there. Actually, it was Fons's mum's birthday, and to be honestly speaking, it's a great site if you're looking for a couple of day outstay. I think Mooney's camp is perfect in Ballaghan in Harvey Bay. $30 a night for a non-powered site, and I think $35 for a powered site. I think it's phenomenal. I think the amount of work they spend, I've personally seen it. It's a great site, guys. If you're looking to camp somewhere, just to spend a family day out of a couple of nights, I think great spot to be in. Well, I think we have covered a lot of topics, Fons. I think thanks for your insight that you've given to us on this session. And I think we probably will do a deep dive later down the track to see how the audience have any more questions or anything. We can always reach out to you. But thanks for your insight, and thanks for being to the podcast.
Thanks, Nit, and thanks for having us on.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll see you out there caravanning one day.
Absolutely.
It's the best way to travel in my mind, because you got so much freedom. When you've got your own kitchen, your own bathroom, your own bed, you can go where you want, when you want, stay as long as you want. You can wake up some mornings and go, no, we'll just stay another night or two here, or no, don't like it here, we'll pack up and move on. And there's not money if you're on a cruise or on a coach trip or motelling it and you've got all the nights booked ahead of you. You don't have that flexibility and that freedom, and that's one of the biggest things that attracts people to caravanning.
That's right. I spoke to so many people who do caravanning with a lot of my clients and everything, and they say once you start caravanning, you will really, it's very addictive. And you keep traveling and it becomes like an addiction, and you always want to go out, buy a new caravan and things like that. So, yeah, I'm just hoping to do that.
Everyone starts with a tent and then goes to a camper trailer and then gets sick of the canvas and end up with a full-size caravan. And as we get older, can't physically tow the caravan anymore, so we buy a motorhome. But it doesn't matter what you're in, as long as you're out there doing it and on the road and meeting new people and seeing new things. And yeah, I'm very passionate about it. Caravan, I love it. I do a lot of it myself.
Yeah, well, thanks, Fons. Much appreciated. And yeah, thank you.